Werewolf here. Here's how I arrived at the conclusion that God is probably real. One day, when I was just lying on my couch, thinking that day, the question occurred to me, was our world, our universe as we know it, an idea? And I could only think that the answer would be in terms of yes or no. Well, to me, our world seems like a great masterpiece of art, one that we are continually struggling with effort to understand, to explore, and to make sense of. And like any worldly art, it starts as an idea in the mind of whoever thought of it. And if our creator were, as someone else might argue, merely gravity imploding upon itself, well, it seems to me that all life forms would be very basic and functional and boring. And we wouldn't have the sort of awe-inspiring eco-diversity that we do have on this planet. And human beings themselves raise so many questions about why we're here and why we are the way that we are. And just like an artist employs the tools of their medium to help them with their art, maybe these scientific theories and maybe evolution were mechanisms that God or gods use to make the process easier. Of course, there are questions that I can't answer at all, like how did God come into being? Is there one God or many? Perhaps God doesn't even know how he came into being. And even if we did, as human beings, find out, we might not be able to process the answer. I was walking through Barnes & Noble not too long ago, and I was walking through the computer science section. There were books in JavaScript and Python and all these elaborate programs. And I was thinking, if you took someone who's illiterate, whether it's a kid or whether it's an adult who was illiterate their entire life, and you were to teach them to read, you would start with a simple book like Go Dog Go. Once they learned to read, it would be a major leap in their understanding. But then you wouldn't, as their second book, give them one of these enormous textbooks on computer science. They wouldn't be able to understand it. They're not ready for it. There's the argument, why doesn't God reveal himself? Well, when you think about it, think about how very different human nature would probably be if we knew for certain, all of us, that God was real. We probably wouldn't push ourselves in the way that we have with innovation, invention, discovery, to find things out, to do things for our own. We'd merely become complacent and just ask and wait for what we want. Under a lot of forms of Christianity, they offer the explanation that God created us out of loneliness, and God wants us to love him for who he is, not because he is. And meanwhile, you have those, again, I can think of a lot of good reasons why someone might be an atheist, but you have those atheists that think they're better than you and smarter than all of us, and the ones on the internet that bring up the flying spaghetti monster. Well, the flying spaghetti monster is an arbitrary creation made by someone on the internet, while God's, is us. It's our origin story. Every culture since ancient times has had some god or gods. Even remote island cultures. I don't know, maybe there's been some purely atheistic cultures from the beginning. And you gotta think, even those cultures that worship the sun as their god, this was long before we knew about photosynthesis, chlorophyll, and its being a key component in the cycle of life, among other things that... So in a way, certain aspects of their belief system were right long before science brought us to where we are now. One of the biggest reasons for doubt, I think, is, we've all known people, maybe we've been in those shoes, who have been devoutly religious their entire life, and then some travesty befalls them or their family, and it seems like their prayers went unanswered. But those are questions about the nature of God. Are there limitations to God? Again, I don't have answers that I'm satisfied with those. I've put some thought into it. I know different religions and different variations of those religions probably have their own answers. I'm just one werewolf. I don't know everything. These are my thoughts. I'm sharing with you. Thank you for watching. And until next time, life, liberty, and the pursuit of...